Solve this problem by writing and solving an equation. Be sure to define your variable. Does your answer make sense in this context? So here's the problem. A rectangle has a perimeter of 30 inches. Its length is 1 less than 3 times its width. What are the length of the width? What are the length and the width of the rectangle? So one of the things that I usually look at is, are they defining one of the dimensions? I'm asked to find both the length and the width, both the length and the width. And I usually ask myself, are they defining one of those two things in terms of the other? And if they are, that's typically how I define my variables. So you can see it's telling me what the length is. It says the length is 1 less than 3 times its width. So since they're telling me what the length is in terms of the width, I would begin by saying, hey, I don't know why I'm writing this in red. Let's let W be the width of the rectangle. So if I find W, that's one of my dimensions. Now, they also tell me what the length is in terms of the width, right? Length is equal to 1 less than 3 times its width. So here's 3 times the width, and then this is 1 less than that, right? So if you look closely, W is my width, and my length is 1 less than 3 of those width, right? 1 less than 3W. So if I was to sketch this right now, on a rectangle, we've got our length and our width. I could call this the width, and I can call these the length. Also, I know that my length is 1 less than 3 of the widths, right? So 3W minus 1. Now, the perimeter is the sum of those 4 dimensions. There's 4 parts there, and the ones across from each other are the same because it's a rectangle. But for example, I could write this equation, 3W minus 1 plus 3W minus 1. That's the 2 on the top and the bottom. And then plus W, that's the left and the right. So if you look at it, I've got 2 of the lengths plus 2 of the widths, and that has to equal my perimeter of 30. Now this quickly collapses to a fairly simple looking equation, right? If you look at it, I've got 3W and 3W, that's 6, 7, 8. So there's 8W and then minus 2, and that has to equal the perimeter of 30. If I add 2 to both sides, I get that 8W equals 32. And if I divide both sides by 8, we get that the width is 4. So I know that the width of the triangle is 4, a rectangle rather, is 4. And it also asks us to identify the length. But remember, the length is 1 less than 3 times the width. So if I was to say, hey, here's 3 times the width, and then minus 1, that's 12 minus 1, which is 11. So I can say that the width is exactly 4 inches, and I could say that the length is 11 inches. Now, does this work in the context of this problem? Well, if I have 11 plus 11, that's 22, plus 4, which is 8. 22 plus 8 is indeed 30. So yeah, it totally works, right? That would be the width and the length. The width is 4 inches and the length is 11 inches.